It's Andy, helping you build a career you love. Welcome to the show. Thanks for popping by. If you're here with me live, get in the chat, say hi, let me know who you are, let me know what you do, let me know where you're from, put some question marks in front of your questions, and if you're in one of my programs, let me know that. I got a great package for you today on how to get stuff done, but this is it. I really would have loved to have titled this, How to Get Stuff Done Really Fast with High Quality and Make It the Right Stuff. I mean, that's what this is about. How do we produce, whether it's deliverables at work, projects around our house, whether it's our job search too. I've got some really good analogies here for you today as it relates to your job search as well. So this is going to be a little bit of everything. I'm really excited about this talk. And if you are here with me live, we're doing this in December. If you're watching this on the recording, I'm not really sure when you're seeing it, but I'm doing this in the month of December 2020 because I really want you to have a lot of firepower around action, getting things done, getting in motion, staying in motion, putting the gas pedal down. So that's what this is about. Now, what's the issue for a lot of us when we struggle to actually get things done, right? There's a lot of reasons why that happens. For sake of argument, the big four that come to my mind are I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it, or I got a bad plan. Maybe the construction of what I'm doing is not good, or I'm afraid. Right? Show of hands. I'm afraid of the outcome. I'm afraid to put it out there. I'm afraid to be judged. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. And then batting cleanup. I get a hidey high from all my perfectionists out there, right? So it's got to be perfect. It's got to be an A+. Otherwise, I don't want to release it into the world. And being a perfectionist is to me, it literally, it is a disease because it really does prevent you from giving yourself to the world. In many, many cases, we're going to talk about this. So that's what comes to mind. So what I did was I created this talk for you today about the mindset I use and how I think about getting things done. And then I actually reverse engineered a little formula for you that I've never shown before, but it's what I do in everything that I do. And it's a very simple formula, 5-part formula that you can use. So you're gonna get that as well. And then we'll do a Q&A if you're here with me live. So get in the chat, say hi. And I got a little question for you. And this is really just so I could give something away. But you see these books? See these books? Okay, you got Interview Intervention, the first book I wrote, and this is the Hiring Prophecies. This is the third book I wrote. Both of these books, they're text heavy, right? They're like normal books. And I wrote this one in less than 40 days. And this one took less than 50 days. It's almost 100 pages more than the other one. And in the back of the book, in the back of both of these books is an afterword. And I'm not going to tell you what page they're on because then you're going to flip to the page. But underneath the title afterword, there's 7 words that I wrote. They're the same 7 words in both the books. Who can tell me what those words are? I'm going to take a sip of my tea. And then tell me what those 7 words are. You got to go 7 for 7 in the order I said it. And then when I'm done with sipping this tea, I'm going to tell you what it is. So hopefully somebody gets the prize. But it just goes to show that things don't need to be an ordeal to release them out into the public. And there's probably not work related for me. Writing books is the writing part, the mechanics part of it is not stressful, but getting them out into the world because of what you need to go through, it's pretty nerve-wracking. But so the 7 words that are in this book, and I know this one's on page 179. So it says for me, finished was better than perfect. Okay, so for me, finished was better than perfect, and I go on to say, I could have made this book twice as long. I could have made it twice as long. I could have made it 3 times as long. I could have included everything under the sun related to interviewing or to hiring people. And I could have developed it for years and years and years, but I didn't want to do that because then it would have taken longer to get into your hands. So that's the spirit of what we're going to be talking about. So how do you get that mindset? And how do you, not just a mindset, because you could be hasty. Beth, my bet is that my Beth Travert got that. We'll have to check. We'll audit the chat. We'll audit the chat when I'm done with the talk. But it's. I want you to think about this. Okay, so there's a couple of things I really want you to. I want to burn in your brain. I mean, I really want to. Really want to. Really want to call out. I say this a lot, but I want you to really look at this. Waiting for your A game when your B game improves lives. So this really goes to the perfectionists, right? This really goes to people who are nervous about what they put out in the world. And I think it's important for you to recognize that your B game, even your C game, will not only improve a lot of other people's lives and your company's lives and your customers' lives and so on, but it will also improve your life. And I think you'll find that out as we go through a lot of this. So I can never. You have seen 5 years worth of content from me. Actually, 4 years and a couple of 4.5 years worth of content on my YouTube channel. Not one single time can I point to any video, any workshop, any webinar, any series where I would have said that is the complete A game. That is my complete A game, because you would never have seen anything. Right? So I want you to think about that. That's what I'm talking about is being in motion. And the other thing about that, and I want to give you a broader context to look in. I always say to you, I said this in the other book that I didn't hold up, about Out of Reach But in Sight, my goal setting book, that what you do every day matters more than what you do every once in a while. And that's true. But the dailies matter, but the compilation is most important. So what do I mean by that? So I want you to think about, when I look at anything that I do and anything that you do, virtually everything that we do fits in a bigger context. It's a step to create a piece of something that fits into a larger thing. I'm going to design this web screen, and then I have to code it, and it fits into a system that allows somebody to do something. My YouTube channel, every talk, every live show like this or recording like this that lives on is a brick. Now, this is a daily for me, right? This is just something I do every day or every week or whatever. But when you look at the compilation, I focus on the entirety. So every moment that I'm creating something that gets released into the world on any given day is just a brick that goes into the house that I'm building. That's my YouTube channel in this example. Right? So if you just think about it as a whole, so all the pieces, while I could certainly, the other day we talked about on Tuesday, if you saw the video I released on impatience, somebody asked me, New York Style asked me to speak to impatience. I could have sat at my lovely work table right over there and spent 6 hours writing out an entire script related to everything that I knew about impatience and patience and all that good stuff, and then brought it to you 1 week. But if I did that with every single topic that matters to you or is important to you, two horrible things would happen. Number one, it would severely limit the amount of information you're taking in and learning from me. All right, that's bad to me. You're better off getting 80% from me rather than me spending 5 times as long to try to give you 100. Okay, but in the overall context of what I'm building for you, my YouTube channel and the Mile Walk Academy and the other things that we do, right? When the entire compilation is viewed together, I call it an A, right? But on any given day, I might not have an A game. So it's a way for you to look at a lot of, and we're going to talk about some specific examples here too, but it's a way for you to conceptualize that. Get in motion, get the action rolling, and I'll show you how to think through this. But the way that I would say that and the where I live, like on a continuous basis, from every project that we do, every workshop that we do, every product that I deliver, every monthly leadership coaching session that I have, and so on. Here's the combination. Here's where you need to live. And I'm going to define these for you. So quality and speed, all right? These two things are what you need to focus on. Now, listen, folks, I'm not talking about, building airplanes here, right? Like if the thing doesn't fly and stay in the air, that's a problem. But I'm talking about for 99% of everything that we do, for 99% of us, it's if you focus on quality and speed to get things out into the world that can live and breathe and get worked with and evaluated and improved and so on, you are going to be producing a ton of stuff. And I'm going to give you the mechanics here in a few minutes. But I want to make sure that you get what I'm talking about here is that everything that you do, when you look at it in the bigger context, it's much easier for you to be comfortable with releasing and getting things done and putting them out into the world that way. So I think it's really important. And when we talk a little bit about your job search, because I know a lot of you are job searching, and I like to bring the job searching theme into here, is that when you think about your job search, right? The job search itself, a lot of what you guys are going through, is made up of many steps, right? But a lot of you agonize over the components along the way. The resume has to be perfect. The cover letter has to be perfect. The email I'm about to send has to be perfect. Your goal, which I know you know this, is not to write a perfect resume. That's not even a goal, right? What's the goal? The goal is not just to get a job, right? The goal is to get the best job for you, the right job, hopefully the dream job in the right career with the right company, right? That's the goal. So the amount of time that a lot of you tend to spend writing your resume and then perfecting your resume, think about how much excessive time that you are spending trying to get a resume perfect when you probably, and I'm not even exaggerating here for effect, especially if you're in one of my programs, could probably write the resume in 30 minutes and have it 98% there. Okay, but what do? We spend time. We read and read and read, and we tweak, and then we want to go seek out opinions from people you shouldn't be seeking opinions from. And then you start going to use the tools, and you start matching keywords, and you start looking at job descriptions and all this other stuff, and you're spending a ton of time in this one area when you are preventing progress. That is actually not getting something done when you are working it. If the resume in a matter of a calendar takes longer than a day, it's taking you too long. Okay, so I want you to think about what I just said there. Now, it's just an example, but I want to use this example in the context of everything that we do. Think about why the job search challenge. I know a lot of you were with me. I know some of you obviously weren't. Where we just spent a couple of weeks ago, right, the week before Thanksgiving, where I was teaching you that it's really important to be consistent and continually produce products every day that can be used to target 3 companies, target 3 people, one at each company, or somebody who could be a conduit to get you there, and you need to send out your 3 messages. 3 messages to 3 people, to 3 companies. As you become focused on attaining those daily goals, you are constantly being in motion. That's why the job search challenge is so effective. So that's what I'm talking about. Yes, draft a quality cover letter, but you can do that pretty dang quickly. And I've given you a lot of templates, even the free stuff. So you put it together, but you won't know if it's great while it sits there on your desk or while you're trying to perfect it. So what do we do about this? How do we look at the mechanics of all of this so that you're actually getting things done? They're good enough to get in motion to help you attain the ultimate goal. All right. Some of you get jobs without cover letters, right? Even without resumes. All right. So let's go into the formula here. So I thought about everything that I do, and I thought, how can I break it down for them in a number of steps. I thought of this the other day when I was really just thinking about what I do, and I'm going to go through each one of these and how it relates. There's basically 5 things in this order. Okay, there's unifying what you do. There's, oops, sorry, this is backwards. Taking action, right? Taking a step, right? There's evaluating, there's collecting data, and then there's iterating. And you might be thinking, well, Andy, don't I have to collect the data before I can evaluate? Well, let's get into each one of these, and I'll clear this up. So what do I mean? What do I mean by unification? Well, if you think about everything you do in the greater context of what you're doing. So for you, let's say take your your job search example. If your goal is to get the right job and you're focused on the end goal, you can look back at everything you do with the context of your ultimate goal. And every step that you take is just part of a bigger program for you. So for me, going back to my YouTube example, do you ever notice about my YouTube channel? I'm sure you look at, I know it hurts me when you look at other trainer stuff, but I'm all for you doing whatever you got to do. But look at my channel. Have you noticed that all the components of all the things that I teach? So there's job searching stuff that I teach, right? Finding the right job. And then there's personal development and career development. So career growth, leadership growth, that motivational stuff, that kind of stuff. But you notice within those that the job searching stuff, if you look at the channel, there's all the self-awareness stuff that you got to get in order, and there's all the resume stuff, and there's all the cover letter stuff, and the interviewing, the job search stuff, and the interviewing stuff, and the salary stuff, and the career changing stuff, and so on and so forth, right? It's balanced. That is not by accident, right? That was something that I thought about a long time ago and just continually fill in at a pretty even rate. Now, when you look at the long-term goal, to agonize over any one video really becomes, it doesn't even become something that ever enters my mind. It's just go shoot the thing, talk about them. They ask questions about this, go give it to them, right? So that's what I mean about when you think about it as one unit, and everything needs to work together to feed it. And job searching in and of itself, where your goal might be to find the right job, but I would say it's even bigger than that. It's a golden opportunity for you to learn many skills that you can bring with you throughout your life. But more than anything, I want you to look at it as one unit, not a series of things, not a series of, I got to do this and then this and then this. Yes, those are the steps, but you might start interviewing with one company and not get it, and then you go on to interview with another company. That is not two separate things. All of that feeds one common goal. I need you to look at it from a mindset and a mechanics perspective with unity in mind. Then you get in motion. Okay, so I'm going to draft this cover letter. I gotta draft it, and Andy said I got to send it out. Get it done, get it in motion, because you will not know if it's good until what? You can do these bottom two things, right? So as you start to send stuff out, get version 1 done. Get version 1.0 done as fast as you possibly can, because once version 1.0 is in play and it's living and breathing, it's a lot easier to do version 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, which you're going to have to do, and then version 2, and so on, right? The analogy from my world, the book writing world, is you can't edit a blank page. So it's a hell of a lot easier to generate something very quickly and then edit it. Generate a book. And then on you go to the next one, and you'll learn so much more, whatever it might be. But the action needs to be taken quickly. So I talked on Tuesday on the video, if you saw it, about being impatient with your action, but being patient with your results. Let's talk about this. All right, well, after the action, I've got evaluation. You might be saying, well, Andy, don't I need stuff to evaluate? Well, the first thing you need to know is once you put something in motion and you let it live and breathe, even though you should be looking at data, you have a very limited amount of data, right? So the first thing that I want you to do is, well, pay attention to what happened, right? What actually happened as a result of what I did? So for example, for me, every week I do this, right? Spend 90 minutes, couple hours with you guys every week, right? Then not to mention all the other stuff that I, in the programs and the private groups that I have. I watch every minute of every show, usually multiple times. I call it check and tape, right? But I know it's not tape, it's on the internet and it's all digital, whatever. But I'm looking at, well, okay, well, what were they asking me? Are there questions that repeat? Is that a real common issue? What variations of the questions are, right? So observation. Well, how did I answer it? Then I have to critique myself. Was I fluent? Was I smooth? Did I include all the stuff I should have told them? Right? Like those kind of things. So for you, I'm writing a cover letter. I'm sending it out. What can be evaluated? Just as an example, I'm putting the white paper together, right? That in a series of 10 white papers, or this is the code or the design or the whatever, right? Or process that I'm building. In it's just one cog in the wheel, right? So look at it. Well, is the cover letter itself good? Okay, well, then is who I'm sending it to good? The right people, the right person, the right time, the right whatever, the right day of the week, hour of the day, whatever. Like all these things can be evaluated even without the data. But then here's the really fun part. Then as you start and you continue to act, sorry about this, backwards, and evaluate, you're collecting more and more data. Okay, so let's talk about, you know, we're and some caution here too. So let's talk about a couple of examples. So you're collecting data, right? So let's go back to the job search challenge part of what you're doing. And if you don't know what the job search challenge is, I do, well, it's only like 325 more days till the next event, but I do have an abridged version on the YouTube channel, which I'm sure we'll include, or they can, you know, include in the link here. But you think about, you know, all right, it's Monday. Andy said, target 3 organizations, find 3 people, 1 in each of those organizations, send them each a letter or send somebody a message, and I'm going to send it out. And you send it out on a Monday and you go 0 for 3. Okay, now that's data, right? And you're probably thinking, I don't know, Andy guy sounds smart, but this thing doesn't, right? The job search challenge doesn't work. That's an evaluation based on that limited data. Okay, you know what? Let me try it again. Another day. Tuesday goes by, you go 0 for 3 again. You're 0 for 6 now. Now you're probably thinking, oh, good Lord, this is nonsense. It doesn't work, right? That's an evaluation. That's a determination. But you're probably thinking, well, Andy sounds like a nice guy, and he's got a lot of those testimonials, so I'm just going to go through the week. We'll try to get 15 of these out and see what happens. Wednesday goes, you get 0s, but Thursday rolls around and a couple of people get back to you. And then Friday, 1 more person gets back to you. And now I'm your best bud again. And you're thinking 3 out of 15. That's 20%. That's data, right? That is data. But there is an interpretation element that needs to go along with what you collected. Because on the surface, you might be now evaluating it based on the data you're collecting. But what if I looked at that and I said, well, hang on a second. Let me look at 3 out of 15 sounds pretty okay, right? Maybe it should be 10 out of 15, maybe 0, I don't know. So we look at it and I notice that, well, 13 of those messages were to mid-level managers in large organizations, and you went 1 for 13. And then, but these 2 over here were vice presidents in small to medium-sized companies, and you went 100% there. That's data too, right? And you might be asking yourself, well, should I double down? Should I just start contacting those people? Let's park that example for a second because I want to come back to it when we get to iteration. But let's take something from my life. This is a little peek under the curtains of something that just happened that many of you were involved in. We just did this job search challenge, this 5 days that I spent with you on the YouTube channel and Facebook and LinkedIn, and I had a big promotion for my job search boot camp, and a lot of people got in. And Kara and I, and when I say Kara and I really mean Kara, went through and she poured through all the data for all the people that bought the program. And one of the things that we did this time was we heavily advertised the Job Search Challenge, the free program, on Facebook to invite more people into our community. And as we normally do, we send messages out on LinkedIn and some of the other sites alerting people. And then we also, obviously on the YouTube channel, we had the shows and I let you know. So we started to look at how many people who participated in the event bought. And it was over 5%, which sounds like a pretty good number. And I would think that most trainers would think that that is. But then I said, well, that really doesn't tell me the story that I need to understand. There were people that were new to my community that came from Facebook, and then there were people that were new to my community that came from LinkedIn and YouTube. So less than a month. They didn't really know me very well. So how many of them bought? Well, the people that came from Facebook, only 2% of them bought. Well, the people that came from YouTube and LinkedIn, almost 6% of them bought. That's pretty good. But wait, those people that were in our community already that had been following me for more than a month, they bought at 11%. Okay? But overall, when you added up all the numbers, it was almost 6% of the people who participated actually enrolled in my program. And you know, if I asked you, well, if you were the boss of Mile Walk, what would you do? And you know, you might think, well, should I, you know, just go after and spend more time with those 11%ers? Or maybe I could just nurture those 6%ers more. But well, why not go after the Facebook folks and try to find more people that way, right? So if your goal is to make money, which is actually not my goal. My goal is to help you, and in order to do that, it's to build a solid business to actually have a balanced array of platforms that I could use to introduce myself to the world. What happens if YouTube goes down, collapses, does something that limits your ability to find me? Those things that are out of my control. So if my goal is to balance it, my iteration, which is going to my improvement, has everything to do with what is my ultimate long-term goal. Okay? So in my case, I can't go after all three of those universes at the same time because there's only one of me and one of Kara and one of Stacy. We have limited resources and we have a number of things that we do. So I take it one at a time, which is how I like to do things. So we will figure that out based on our goals. Okay, now let's go back to iteration as we keep moving forward for you. Well, that person in the job search challenge that has 3 people that got back to them, the answer could be, well, stop those people like the 13, only one of them were getting back to you, and go after the people that are getting back to you at 100% rate. Well, that's fine and good if your goal is to work for a small to medium-sized company or you don't mind which type of organization you work for. But what if your goal is to work for the large company? Well, now you have to iterate differently. Okay, so it's not just right action and producing stuff. If you don't look at your exercise as a unified process to attain a particular goal, that shapes your behavior in how you get in motion, how you look at things, and how you ultimately iterate. Okay, this is very, very important because a lot of you, I know this by the questions you ask me, you're iterating in the wrong spot. Okay, you're spending a lot of time and spinning your wheels, and you might be perfecting that resume, or you might. How many of you every single week ask me, when can I follow up? Can I follow up? They're not getting back to me. They're not moving fast. You're iterating in the wrong spot. Okay, that's not going to get you to your goal by chasing somebody who's not getting back. It's just an example. But you follow what I'm saying. It's important that everything has to be looked at with the right lens. So it's not just the right mindset, and it's not just the right activity, and it's not just keeping at it and iterating. It's iterating the right stuff in the right sequence. Okay, it's very, very important. You've got to resist the urge to, when I said, well, going back to the action about putting the resume together, and you might be saying, well, Andy, I need a good resume. I need you to know if your resume is good, and the only way we're going to know if the resume is good is if you get it out into the world, because then what happens? Then you can do these things, right? Then you can evaluate, you can collect more data. If I would make all my adjustments as a business owner based on this one promotion we ran, that would not be very smart. It's one data point, except I have a lot of data points. I have data points because I've been doing this for a while. But you have to get in and pay attention to what's happened, which means from the time you send in your application or the time you do whatever you do, you need to start collecting the data. Who did I send this to? What did I send them? What was the format? What was the medium I used? Did I send it on LinkedIn? Did I send it via email? Did I send it on a Monday? Did I send it on a Tuesday? Did I send it to the director? Did I send it? You know what I mean? Like, all that stuff needs to be collected. And until you're in motion for a while, you won't have all the data. So you're going to have to evaluate based on the limited data you have. But if you're paying attention, you'll start to notice the trends. All right, now, this is, I do want to call the mistake out, okay? The saturation, and I already alluded to this. So it's a lot of you need to be careful, and this is just as it relates to your job search, but this is really related to anything, right? What do? We get saturated because we keep trying to focus on something that saturation can happen in one of two formats. It can happen in the example I just gave you about, like, well, I'm spending too much time on my resume. I'm spending too much time following up. I'm spending too much time, tweaking this email or this cover letter, okay? That's getting saturated and bogged down in one area. The other thing could be, it could be getting saturated on the outcome. So going back to my YouTube example, going back to the breadth of what's in my YouTube channel as an example, you see the balance. Well, there are a lot of trainers that call themselves career coaches, but every week they seem to put out a resume writing video. Well, that's okay, but they're a resume writer, right? They're a resume coach. They're not a career coach. That must not be their goal, or they're misadvertising, or they're spending so much time focusing, in that example, maybe on, well, YouTube likes resumes more than it likes job searching or job interviewing or whatever. So they're going for clicks. That's not good or healthy either, okay? For you, are you getting so myopic on your options, the companies you want to target, the industries you're willing to look at? That can be saturating as well. Okay, so you got to do everything in the context of the goal, and that happens when you unify everything. You look at everything as one unit, and everything that you do, all of these actions, everything that happens doesn't happen. It's a pawn being moved off the chessboard. Okay, everything goes back to this, and the lens that you need to have is with the ultimate goal in mind. Okay, so just to recap really quick, don't wait for your A game when your B game will change lives. Okay, really, the dailies matter, and if you want to make sure that you are achieving and fulfilling your A game, that's done at the end. Okay, that's done at the end of your life. All right, the dailies and the consistency matter. Consistency trumps talent. And 80% every day of quality product, 80% good, as good as you could do, is going to far supersede when you aggregate it all together. It really will. That job search challenge, you do not need a 100% perfect cover letter. You need to send the damn cover letter, okay? And you need to send 3 a day. That's going to outwork the person who waits till Friday to send 3 messages out because they tinkered all week on the cover letter, okay? And then when you get in and you start moving, think big picture, unify everything. Then what you want to do, get in motion, evaluate, collect your data, and keep evaluating. And then make your iterations based on what's happening in the context, the right lens of the great goal, of the big goal. Okay? Now, I hope you enjoyed that, but wait, I got one thing I got to do. So Kara is telling me before we go that my Beth Travert, is a boot camper. How about a year in my leadership coaching program for you, my dear? Join me on December 11th, where we're going to be going through reflection. I hope you can make it, and I hope you enjoy that $300 gift for knowing what the words were in the back of my book. Okay, I hope that serves you. I loved bringing that to you. I hope that was a little bit of a different way to look at the mechanics of what you do in your life. Give you a little peek in, kind of lifted my hood, lifted the covers up, and I tried to tie it into your job search. I was really going for the whole kit and caboodle today. So I hope you enjoyed that.